Peppa Pig is adorable, but her universe is basically a mystery box pretending to be a preschool show. 1. The Last Humans? Something strange hangs over Peppa's world, and it's not just the bright pink sky. The show barely has any humans. There's a queen, a pirate, Santa, and a random farm girl on a billboard, and then nothing. It feels less like humans vanished and more like they changed. Every animal acts exactly like a person. They talk, drive cars, pay bills, and still call themselves animals. So what happened to the original humans? Some people think there was a moment when humans slowly turned into animals. Maybe by accident, maybe on purpose. Whatever happened, the few humans left look like survivors, and the animals look like replacements. 2. The Mouse Who Broke the Rules. Mandy Mouse fits in at school, but something about her breaks the rules of Peppa's world. Every other rodent stays a normal animal. Guinea pigs act like guinea pigs, and wild mice hide in barns, yet Mandy walks, talks, and takes part in sports day like a fully evolved character. Her wheelchair adds a strange twist because it makes you wonder if something happened to her before she became human-like. She is the only rodent who made that jump, and the show never explains how. It feels like Mandy went through a transformation others never reached. Maybe she evolved early, maybe she survived something. 3. The Builder Who Never Finishes. Mr. Bull is always fixing something, yet nothing in Peppa's town ever stays fixed for long. The school roof leaks constantly, even after he proudly announces he repaired it 10 minutes earlier. He also digs random holes in the road for reasons that never sound real. He talks about broken pipes even when there is no leak, no water, and no sign of an emergency. After a while, the pattern becomes hard to ignore. Every new problem gives him more work. Every repair somehow leads to another repair. It starts to feel like Mr. Bull might be creating the chaos himself just to stay busy and paid. 4. The Dog Who Shows Up Everywhere. Mr. Labrador works with Mr. Bull, but he somehow shows up in places that make no sense. When Peppa's family visits London, he is already there. When they travel to Paris, he appears again like he took the same flight. And when they explore New York, he pops up one more time, standing in the background as if he arrived before they did. After a while, it stops feeling like coincidence. He never mentions vacations, never explains his trips, and never seems shocked to see the pig family. It starts to look like he has a secret job that involves quietly following Peppa's family wherever they go. 5. The Fairy Leak. Peppa's world is meant to be normal, but the show keeps acting like someone left the portal open to Ben and Holly's kingdom. In the library, Princess Holly appears on giant posters like she's promoting a new fantasy novel. Ben appears on another poster, smiling like he secretly lives there. The books get even stranger. Peppa opens one and finds Holly inside the pages, almost like she wandered in by mistake. And during World Book Day, Peppa picks up a story featuring a fairy who looks exactly like Nanny Plum. Wings, wand, same face. It feels less like cute references and more like two universes leaking into each other. 6. The Pirate in Plain Sight. Mr. Fox pretends he's just running a friendly little shop, but the place looks more like a pirate storage locker. Every corner is stuffed with ropes, old maps, boat parts, and strange items that feel like they were collected during sea raids, not shopping trips. The oddest moment happens when Peppa asks for a treasure chest. Mr. Fox sells everything from snorkels to frying pans, yet the one thing a pirate would love to keep suddenly isn't available. That feels way too convenient. And in the corner, there's blue and white striped fabric that looks exactly like Pirate Redbeard's shirt. Either Mr. Fox has suspicious taste in fashion, or he's swapping outfits at night and living a double life. 7. The Rabbit Factory. Miss Rabbit works so many jobs that the show eventually gives up trying to explain it. One day she sells ice cream, the next she flies a helicopter, and somehow she still has time to run a supermarket, a museum, a rescue service, and even a moon operation. After a while, you stop wondering about her schedule and start wondering how many Miss Rabbits actually exist. Things get stranger when Peppa travels. Every city has its own Miss Rabbit, smiling like she arrived before everyone else. And Grandpa Rabbit being a scientist makes the whole situation feel even more suspicious. Maybe Miss Rabbit isn't superhuman. Maybe she's mass-produced. 8. The Toy That Doesn't Stay Put. Teddy is supposed to be a harmless toy, but she acts like she has her own plans. During the Italy trip, Teddy keeps slipping away from Peppa, as if she wants to explore the country alone. In the Doll Hospital episode, Peppa talks to Teddy like the bear is answering back, which would be cute if it didn't feel a little too real. And in Teddy's day out, the toy disappears again, wandering off like she needed a break from the pig family. After a while, it stops looking like Peppa is careless with toys. It starts looking like Teddy is testing her freedom, one quiet escape at a time. 9. The sheep that shouldn't exist. Susie, sheep's family seems normal until you realize something is missing. She has a mom, a grandma, and a cousin, but not a single male relative has ever appeared. No dad, no uncle, no grandfather, nothing. It feels like her family tree was edited on purpose. Then, there's the anchor symbol on Susie's pajamas, which perfectly matches the one on Grandpa Rabbit's sailor hat. That small detail raises a big question, especially since Grandpa Rabbit loves calling himself a scientist. If he really is experimenting, Susie's missing relatives suddenly feel less mysterious. Maybe Susie isn't part of an ordinary sheep family. Maybe she is the first successful version of something Grandpa Rabbit created. 10. The potato that shouldn't fly. Super Potato looks like a fun superhero, but the more you watch him, the stranger he becomes. Every other major character in Peppa Pig is an animal, yet a giant potato somehow becomes the country's biggest celebrity. He flies on TV, performs stunts, and talks like he has real superpowers. Meanwhile, regular Mr. Potato encourages everyone to eat vegetables, which feels odd coming from a vegetable with legs. Super Potato's abilities also change constantly. One episode, he soars through the air, and in another, he can barely stay upright. It starts to feel like the suit is hiding someone who is definitely not a potato. 11. The hunger problem. Peppa's world looks cheerful, but some of the animals in it raise real questions. Mr. Wolf is the biggest one. He acts polite, but anytime food is mentioned, his eyes light up in a way that makes you worry for Daddy Pig. In one episode, he says he's starving while standing right beside him, and the silence that follows feels suspicious. Then you remember, the zoo is run by a lion and a crocodile, who should not be trusted around anything with legs. Dr. Bear treats sick children even though bears are predators. Nobody explains what these animals eat, which makes the whole town feel one menu away from danger. 12. The lone reptile. Mrs. Crocodile shows up at the zoo, acting perfectly normal, but her existence makes zero sense once you think about it. She is the only reptile in Peppa's entire world who walks, talks, wears clothes, and works a regular job. Then you remember the other crocodiles we see in a different episode. Those ones snap at anything that moves and behave exactly like real crocodiles. They are wild, dangerous, and definitely not filling out tax forms. So, why does Mrs. Crocodile get special treatment? It feels like she escaped the wild, joined society, and never looked back. The real question is, what happens if the other crocodiles decide to follow her lead? 13. The invisible jungle. There's a moment in the zoo episode where Madame Gazelle warns the kids about wild animals, and she sounds genuinely worried, but when they walk inside, nothing is there. No tigers, no wild wolves, not even a tiny raccoon. The group just wanders around like someone forgot to deliver the animals. What makes it stranger is how often adults mention wild creatures in other episodes, almost like something dangerous is hiding nearby. So where are these animals? Are they kept in a secret area? Or did something escape long ago? The grown-ups never explain it, and that silence feels more unsettling than seeing an actual wild animal. 14. The cow that vanished. Carol Cow appears early in the show as a normal background character standing beside Mrs. Cow, almost like the series wants you to remember her. But the moment Mr. Bull marries Mrs. Cow, Carol disappears completely. She's not at the wedding, not in the crowd, and not even shown for a second afterward. From that point on, she never appears again. For someone who should now have a stepdad, she is suspiciously absent. It feels like someone quietly erased her, and the show pretends she never existed. Maybe she moved away. Maybe she ran away. Or maybe something happened that nobody in Peppa's world wants to explain. 15. The marriage rule nobody talks about. If you look closely at Peppa's world, you'll notice a strange pattern hiding in plain sight. Every couple is made of the same species. Pigs marry pigs, rabbits marry rabbits, and ponies marry ponies. You never see a dog dating a cat or a sheep with a goat. It starts to feel like there's an unspoken rule everyone follows without talking about it. The awkward part is what this means for Peppa and Susie. Peppa has never met another pig her age, and Susie has never met another sheep. If the rule is real, both of them might be stuck single forever. It makes you wonder who created this rule and why no one questions it. 16. The last pig family. Peppa's world is filled with every animal you can think of. There are endless rabbits, elephants, ponies, dogs, and sheep living regular lives. But when it comes to pigs, something suddenly feels off. Peppa's family is the only pig family anyone ever sees. Even when they travel to giant cities like Paris, London, or New York, not a single other pig shows up in a crowd, a store, or even a tiny background frame. It starts to feel intentional, like pigs quietly disappeared and no one wants to talk about it. Maybe Peppa's family is rare. Maybe they're hiding, or maybe something happened long ago that left them as the last pig standing. 17. The sailor who won't tell his story. Grandpa Pig pretends he's just a peaceful gardener, but his past feels much stranger. He wears his sailor hat everywhere, even when he's nowhere near water, almost like it's a part of an old uniform he refuses to give up. He also owns a parrot, which feels suspicious unless you spent years on a ship doing things you don't want to explain to children. Then, Daddy Pig finds a pirate hat in the attic, and Grandpa acts like it's no big deal. A normal sailor wouldn't keep that. Grandma Pig tries to clean the attic, but Grandpa always stops her, as if something up there should never be found. 18. The best friend who might want her spot. Peppa and Susie say they're best friends, but something about their friendship feels off. Susie doesn't just argue with Peppa, she challenges her, copies her, and tries to take the lead every time Peppa steps forward. The strangest moment is the Leo the Lion prank. Susie arrives at Peppa's house with an imaginary friend and uses him to tease Peppa, acting smug while Peppa tries to stay polite. The more you watch them, the more a pattern appears. Susie competes with Peppa in games, conversations, and even daydream scenes. It almost feels like Susie doesn't just want to be Peppa's friend, she wants to be Peppa's replacement. 19. The two-doctor problem. Peppa's world seems simple until you look at the medical system. Dr. Brown Bear treats Peppa, George, and every animal who walks, talks, and goes to school. Then there's Dr. Hamster, who only treats animals that behave like actual animals, such as Goldie the fish and Polly Parrot. They work in the same town, yet each doctor handles a completely separate group, almost like there's a rule no one says out loud. It makes you wonder why the lines are drawn so sharply. Are the species that different, or is the town quietly dividing civilized animals from the ones that never evolved? Either way, the separation feels strangely deliberate. 20. The town where time refuses to move. Peppa's world celebrates birthdays, holidays, and big events every year, yet nobody gets any older. The show has 6 Christmas episodes, but Peppa is still 4, and George still shouts dinosaur like he hasn't learned a single new word. Even the adults never change. Daddy Pig should have at least one gray hair by now, but he looks exactly the same. It feels like the whole town is stuck in a loop where time moves forward, but the characters don't. Then, baby Evie arrives, and the world suddenly feels different. Peppa seems a bit more grown, and George talks more. It makes you wonder if the time loop finally cracked, or quietly restarted. 21. The height rule that makes no sense. Peppa's world pretends to follow normal biology, but the height rules completely fall apart. Gerald Giraffe towers over everyone, which makes sense. But then you look at the elephants. Emily and Edmund are tiny, even though real elephants should be the tallest animals on the playground. Penny Polar Bear is small too, even though polar bears are huge in real life. It feels like the creators gave Gerald his natural height and then shrunk every other big animal to squeeze them into the classroom. The inconsistency is so obvious that it becomes suspicious. Why does Gerald get special treatment while the others don't? Maybe it's evolution. Maybe it's an animation shortcut. Either way, it makes no sense. 22. The door that can't make up its mind. Peppa's house looks perfectly ordinary, but the inside behaves like it has a mind of its own. The door on the staircase sometimes leads to a full basement, but in other episodes, it turns into a tiny storage cupboard. One day, Daddy Pig walks downstairs to grab a torch, and suddenly, the house has an entire basement that never existed before. Another day, the same door reveals nothing but boxes. It gets stranger when the house randomly grows an extra entrance on the right side and then quietly removes it in the next episode. The layout shifts like it's rearranging itself when no one is looking. At this point, the real mystery might be the house, not the family. Okay, after seeing all that, Peppa Pig might secretly be a children's horror series wearing pastel colors. Now I'm curious, if only one of these mysteries were real, which one would break the whole universe? Drop your pick below and hit follow because we're just getting started.